Good morning and welcome everyone to the KCF book reading session today. Thank you for joining on a bright Sunday morning, or it may be a rainy Sunday morning in a few places. Very happy to have Rajesh Bhai Chheda today, and I'll very quickly introduce him and hand it over to him because we have a very exciting book and something that is very close to his heart. So Rajesh Bhai is a chartered accountant and a certified financial planner by qualification. He's also evolved into a health risk assessor and guide by profession. In fact, he's been into the investment and financial planning field ever since the Sensex was 1,000. So he's seen an 80x journey himself. So no one better than him to talk about a 10x journey. He's also been a member of the prestigious Million Dollar Roundtable. Interestingly and very importantly, he loves academic aspect, and he's been a visiting professor at Goa University and Goa Institute of Management. He, by the way, happens to have settled in Goa, and he's joining us from Goa. And he's helped many families into intergenerational relationships over 2-3 decades of working with him. So we have a fantastic person today. His passion and fondness is of course for reading and knowledge, and equally important is sharing various learnings with people like us, with younger generations, with students, etc. And very simple man, simple thinking, and I think his motto in life is simplifying lives. So with that, I would pass it on to him to take the proceedings forward. Rajesh bhai, welcome and please continue.
Thank you so much for the nice introduction, and good morning to all of you, my KCF brethren and friends. Uh, Let me just start with the sharing of the screen. Okay, is it visible?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yes, it is.
first and foremost, what I would like to say is this book. I have personally read it. I've read it once. I've read it the second time, and Dan Sullivan is one of the pioneers in the industry. Uh, he has helped many an entrepreneur achieve 10x into 10 kind of a story. What I will do is this time I want to make it a little different. There's an introduction chapter which I would like to probably delve more on to understand the concept of 10x. And it is not new. Sometimes we look at history. So in the introduction, he talks about the story of Michelangelo. Now, Michelangelo lived in the year, probably he was in 1493, he was about 17 years of age. That's the time where he was very passionate about what he wanted to do. His father wanted him to enter the business, but he liked to do the sculpting and wanted to understand. And this is how the story begins. And this is about 500 years back. So, very intriguing thing about this is at 17, he became fixated with secretly obtaining and dissecting human cadavers. Now, this is very unique. It is very scary. I mean, when I look at it, and in those years, violating a corpse was a crime punishable by death in Florence, in Italy. But why did he do all this? Is because he was interested in creating a particular image, a sculpture, which he began to work on, a 9-foot size of Hercules. And it was a life-size, three-dimensional sculpture. Now, what he did is he also had a mentor. Unfortunately, his mentor passed away, and he planned to do the project to do this in his memory. What he thought is that he wanted to understand and the intricacies and functions of the body directly, outside and in. And he needed to look at the human body. In those, remember one thing, this is about 500 years ago. So in those days, probably, where could he find the corpses? So at that time, there were three places. The rich used to have their own family tombs, which he could not get access to. The middle class, it would be all watched. So the best part for him would be in the charitable hospital, or where the very poor, the orphan and the beggars were kept. I mean, after they passed away. So now he had to take a big risk. So what he used to do is, if he was caught, he would go to prison. Worst case, he would be sentenced to death. But what he did is he began slipping inside late at the night and leaving before sunrise the hospital in the mortuary. And he used to light a candle, and by the time the candle would get over, he knew it was the time for him to leave before the others would come and see him. So he was obsessed over it. Now here, okay, so here, this is an interesting part. Through dissection, Michelangelo studied every known animal and did so many human dissections that it outnumbers that of those who are professional in that field. This is a considerable influence that shows in his mastery in anatomy that is not matched by other painters. He worked on so many human anatomies that those who have spent their lives at it and made it their profession hardly know as much as he does. So one very important point of this 10x is that you have to be so passionate and so much involved that even a small job creating what you call a, a masterpiece at that time. Probably in those days the currency was a florin. So he saw that outside the chapel there was one old unused marble stone lying there. He bought it for about 5 golden florins. Didn't even tell his dad. He just told his dad that he's got a job to be done. Okay, it was a lie. And basically he created this. So this part of it, when he finished it after molding, it took him almost about a year, and he got 100 florins for that. So probably already that was his first 10x kind of a growth that happened. But that did not stop. What he did is, after that, because it was so good and so well done, he was commissioned by one of the persons working in the church to do a statue of a Cupid. He did that, and then with his influence, he was called to Rome. He went to Rome, and there again, for about 2-3 years, he did the statue of uh, 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 a god of Bacchus. He was a particular Greek god. And after doing that, he was commissioned by the Pope, and he decided at the age of all this now at the age of 21 to do a statue of the Pieta. Pieta meaning it is about Mother Mary with her son in her lap after he was crucified. And that, the story is like this. He went to a certain where a superb marble was available, the Carrara marble, okay, up the mountain. Somehow he managed it, and he carved that, and he studied, he looked at it and he studied for a couple of years, and then it evolved. Till today, it is considered to be one of the uh, best masterpieces of all times. Now, here, I would just like to quote. Now, in the previous one, when Hercules was finished, it was the spring of 1494, and Michelangelo was 19 years old. Look at his age. To sculpt Hercules at the level he aspired, Michelangelo developed mastery of human anatomy to a degree no other sculptor ever had. So here, the essence, what I said is that how could he achieve this impossible breakthrough? He basically, it says a core aspect of psychological flexibility is viewing yourself as a context rather than viewing yourself as a content. It's a little heavy reading. This enables you to not overly identify with your thoughts and emotions, since you're not your thoughts and emotions. Instead, you are the context of your thoughts and emotions. And as you change the context, the content changes as well. When you view yourself as a context rather than as a content, then you are far more flexible and adaptive. So what happens is, here I told of Hercules. He didn't stop at Hercules. After that, doing the statue of the uh, Cupid and the Bacchus, the sculpture depicting the Virgin Mary grieving over the body of Jesus, the Pieta, took 2 years to complete. Now here he wanted his piece to be perfect, and he pushed his creative and sculpting abilities to otherworldly heights. Now here the concept what he thinks of, unlike many of the other Pietas at that time, he wanted Mary and not Jesus to be the central figure. So rather than the middle-aged mother of a man in his 30s, he reflected Mary as she would have looked as a young and radiant virgin mother. She holds and mourns over her now dead Savior son. The beautiful body of Christ, mostly exposed, displays Michelangelo's hard-earned mastery of the human anatomy. So where the dots connect. Now, this completion was a culmination of another 10x jump for Michelangelo. Now he was 24, and when he returned to live in Florence, he was not the same man who had left his hometown 3 years earlier. He lived abroad, met influential people, and completed two next level projects, the Bacchus and the Pieta. To this day, the Pieta is considered one of the greatest artistic masterpieces of all times. Here, now let us take his third 10x jump. In 1501, now in 1501, he was 26. So he began what would be his next 10x jump. Already 4 statues into a 15 statue commission for the Cathedral of Siena. He learned the overseers of the office were seeking a sculptor to complete their giant David statue. Now what he does is, the 17-foot piece of marble had been sitting in the Florence Duomo courtyard, incomplete and baking in the Mediterranean sun for more than 40 years. It had been abandoned and damaged by 2 separate sculptors decades earlier. Michelangelo wanted his project more than anything else. He saw it as a huge opportunity, a 10x opportunity. He believed he could do something special with the 26. He convinced the operae that he was the sculptor to complete David. Now, what he did, very interesting part is, he studied for almost 2 years. For nearly 3 years, Michelangelo pored over David, and David transformed Michelangelo completely. He pored over David, and David transformed Michelangelo completely. And when he finished in early 1504, 1504 means he was 29, he was immediately recognized. It was immediately recognized as a masterpiece. He was paid 400 florins for the David statue. So from 5 to 100 to 200 to 400, this is where his kind of a income started. And this is what gave him an access. I mean, you don't say no to the Pope, because the Pope asked him to build his tomb. And that's where he moved to Rome, and he was commissioned to paint the Sistine Chapel, what he's known for today. Now, the essence of the knowledge, why I spent this much time in the introduction, is that look at this person, how it inspires us, what he did, how passionate he was. So in our own respective fields, probably the understanding of this book is, each one of us is different. Each one of us has different talents. Each one of us has a unique ability. Look at it, what is your unique ability, be passionate about it, and that gets you going. The essence of this chapter is, what he says is, what got you here won't get you there. And to quote the actor Leonardo DiCaprio, every next level of your life will require a different you. Now, talking of 10x, okay, we all talk of doing 2x, and 10x means you have to do 10 times more. So in this book, he defeats that. He says, no, 2x is linear, 10x is dynamic. And he says 10x is easier than 2x. So how does he go about it? We shall have a look at it. I just need to highlight a few things that I've noted. 10x isn't about more, it's about less. Now, this is a very important observation. 2 times, that is 2x, is exhausting and soul defeating. It's extremely difficult to put a pedal to the metal and grind away for inches of progress. By contrast, 10x is so big and seemingly impossible that it immediately forces you out of your current mindset and approach. You can't work 10x harder or longer. brute force and linear methods won't get you to 10x. So this is one thing. And here he talks of Steve Jobs was the master of extreme simplification, which is the essence of innovation. Okay, now let me just get back to the context. Okay, now here, what I would like to share with you is I was fortunate in my years, maybe 10 years back and all, to attend a couple of the sessions of Dan Sullivan, the author, and I've seen his growth. Probably at that time, he used to have workshops. Uh, you have to attend 4 times in a year, 4 quarters for one day. Now, at that point of time, from India to go to US 3 or 4 times, 4 times a year for only one day, it was not probably at that time cost effective for me. And his fees were say $10,000. I would still say it was worth it, but the going there, coming back, and all things have changed. But whoever I met, uh, who were like my mentors, who achieved something, many of them have done his uh, course or have done his workshops. The reason he was so clear in his mindset when you hear and you talk. So I'll just share a couple of the mindsets, what he speaks about. He says, the mindset shift that happens when you realize you've gone 10x before. Now, this is something I'll pause here. Many of us, let us say today, the assumption is that some of you who are listening have already achieved this 10x growth. Let us do a reverse of it. The future looking at 10x is fiction, but looking at the past, what got you 10 times more is a fact. So let us take an example. Hypothetically, say the person's turnover or income today in the last 10, 20, 30 years has grown to a figure of say 1 crore of rupees. When was it when you were 1/10 of that? So how many years back your income, if today it is 1 crore, was 10 lakhs? So you've already grown from 10 lakhs to 1 crore. And when was it when you just started off where 10 lakhs was 1 lakh? So from 1 lakh to 10 lakhs to 100 lakhs, and then your next growth could be another 10 times more. So if you go backwards and you look at it, what did you do? Some examples are that they say that some of your worst employees or worst teammates will oppose to the growth. They might feel that we have to work harder. What is in it for them? Work on Sundays, work on extra time, whatever, just for a 2x growth. But when you say 10 times you want to grow, there are a lot of things that you have to change. You have to make a total sea change. So what happens is some things for the employees, it would be told either grow or go. So it is a very, very tough call on that. And when such interactions do take place, if you take on a say personal scale, if supposing at one point of time when I was into stockbroking and the commissions were coming down, brokerages were coming down, things were challenging, you have to grow. So you add multifacets to that. So you add an insurance, you add a risk management. Then how do you grow? Then he talks of this. I wanted to a little bit give my personal sharing that all of you will have your own stories. But the insights that you can gain from your previous jumps, why your team members might try to prevent the change at the company, and how strategic coach has gone 10x more than once. That is the name of the company that the author has, and why people have to make things up to scare themselves nowadays, and the difference between status entrepreneurs and growth entrepreneurs. Now, see, the status entrepreneurs and growth entrepreneurs, what he says is when people used to come, certain status entrepreneurs talk about how good they have become, how big they have become. He calls them as status entrepreneurs. That is not growth. But the growth entrepreneurs are the one when they used to come for the camp, none of them would talk high about themselves. They would only say what challenges they are facing and how they can overcome. They are very keen. They were constantly keen on improving themselves. Now, the other part is the whole book is divided into two parts, the principles and the applications. The principles talk of the surprising simplicity, why a 2x mindset is the enemy of the growth and the enemy of results, the quality of everything you do, how you shed your identity and relentlessly raise your standards. It embraces abundance and rejects scarcity, and you get exactly what you want. You experience the radical freedom. And the applications are you uncover your 10x past to clarify your 10x future. You've done it before and you'll do it again. Then he says, this is very interesting in the 5th chapter, take 150 free days per year. Now, free days per year is what he had a certain a system. You call it as you divide the week into 3 parts. You talk it as your core days where you meet the, if you're good at meeting people, you meet the people. You do your self-organizing day where you don't meet the people, but with your team, you organize yourself to prepare for. So supposing if Monday is a self-organizing day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday uh, is a core day of your ability, and you leave your Saturday and Sunday as a free day where you don't do anything about a work, but you plan yourself. Now imagine out of 365 days, he said you reach a stage where you take 150 plus free days. That means your 10x growth should not only be growth in the quantity, but it should also be growth in the quality. So you need to have that also. You keep it to your family time or whatever you want to pursue. And then the last thing he talks of is you build a self-managing company. Now, this is very interesting because it is not possible to micromanage. Of course, these are all sessions and all we've all heard before, but the concept over here is that how you evolve from a micromanager to a transformational leader. So your company is on an automation mode. Now, this chart, this box which is there, the 2x mindset. Now he talks about, say, the normal thing is that in the 2x mindset, your 80% is existing customers, 20% is something new that you're doing. Whereas the 10x mindset shift to, let me concentrate on my top 20% customers, which which give me 80%, as well as something I'm going to do that also I capture it into a smaller capsule and I do something 80% of my time into something new. So now here, certain bullet points are there that whenever someone goes 10 times, they've gotten rid of a lot of activities they had been doing. So if you remember the story of Michelangelo, or in many times, what you were doing in your first 10x growth, in your second 10x growth, you did something different. You were not doing that. Probably you delegated. Probably you got new team members that came in. Probably some of them moved on who probably could not adjust or felt something different. Now, growing your income means going after bigger and bigger check writers. Entrepreneurs should be using technology to expand the power of their teamwork. Growing your income might involve new collaborations with individuals outside of your company. So the word is also a collaboration. Okay, sometimes certain things which I cannot do, I would collaborate with somebody else. It may happen in a legal profession. There may be a certain lawyer who's only very good in civil work. He will allocate some other profile there, or an interior designer might say that I'm specializing in only office interiors. If it comes to personal home interiors, I'll collaborate with somebody else. Then you make up the future, but you don't make up your past. The first time you grow 10x, what you did couldn't be predicted. The second time you have a pattern to follow, he says. Most people want a bigger result without having to change themselves or what they are doing. Now, this is something which is an impediment. Many a times we feel, no, we want we are not ready to change ourselves. This is very, very crucial. Many a times you will find yourself, you have to evolve. Like how he talks of Michelangelo's 10x growth. he evolved. But why I want to focus on the introduction chapter is look at this person, how he was not in the medical field, but just because he was so much passionate about sculpting, he wanted to understand the human anatomy. Up to what extent he went? He went to the extent of probably if he was caught, it could have been a death sentence in those days. Then most people want to be okay. 10x is a multi-dimensional thinking, while 2x is a linear thinking. How other people went 10x is meaningless information because it's not the way you did it. This is also a very important point I found because everybody's journey is not your journey, or your journey is not like everybody. You need to adapt. You need to observe, see who you are, what benefits you, and how it works for you. You won't go 10x unless doing so will result in greater freedom. Now, this is what I told about the free days and all. So whatever, it's not necessary. Otherwise, you'll keep on working. So even if you grow 1x, 2x, 3x, 5x, if you keep on working without having that ability to have those free days, to have the free time, or you have the delegation done, you have a self-managing company created, then it is a little bit of a misnomer. You need to look at it, what's going wrong, or how you can improve yourself. Entrepreneurial growth calls for constant transformation and change. Now, in this, we talked of qualitative, that is playing at a whole new level. Take some time to get clear on what an inspiring goal would look like without feeling to justify why you need it. You just want it. Write down a draft version of your unique ability. Make sure it applies not just to your current work situation, but to your consistent zone of fascination, motivation, and value creation throughout the years. Because, again, going a little personal, I qualified as a chartered accountant, but I probably was not very comfortable in accounts, audits. But I was very passionate about knowledge. I was very passionate about understanding, and then the dots get connected. So probably you look at it, what is your unique ability? If I feel that I like to talk to people, I like to imbibe, I like to get knowledge, it took me in a different field altogether, and the human aspect. So that is how he talks of it. Now, here he says the bottleneck is you. So find people to take on every task that is not related to your unique ability. Those are the tasks that keep you stuck on the hamster wheel. Get specific about what you are optimizing for and what pursuing mastery will look like. How will you use your unique ability to innovate and raise the bar on quality? See, he keeps on and on and on talking about the unique ability. Unique ability can go like probably there are 8 billion people on the planet, and you are unique because you're not like one of those other people. So you have to look at that. So it could be probably some sort of a soul searching, probably having some interaction, probably finding a mentor. Many a times we don't discover a unique ability at a very, very young age. We might see it slowly starts getting evolved. Somebody else will talk to us about our own unique ability. He says, "Hey Rajesh, you're good at this one. Did you notice that how people interact with you, how they confide in you, how they talk to you about their challenges?" So again, it gets into that area, that arena which you've realized that you're doing, and you can go deeper and go further. When you feel discouraged, immediately check that you aren't measuring yourself against your 10x goals, and instead remember and celebrate how far you've already come. Very often in our 10x growth, we forget and we get back into the 2x mentality. Take extensive time away from work and don't sneak work into free days. As every athlete knows, recovery is an essential part of high performance. Schedule your free days a year in advance so they are locked in and you can plan around them. Now, although I have made it kind of a very brisk in just about half an hour, what I have some other pointers also which I had noted is the reverse I mentioned. If today, if like Dan Sullivan's company is today worth 40 million, so that means 10% of it, 4 million, it was about 12 years ago. And prior to that, 400,000, it was about another 12 years ago. He's there for the last 34 years. So he says there has to be a radical shift. Stop the activities, start the activities. So stop certain things which you need to stop, start or continue. So stop, start, and continue is one thing he talks of. First level is okay, you're on your own. But the second level of 10x, he says there is a team build up required. Okay. Solving problem and interacting with clients. That is the main activity, supposing for some people. He talks of technology, predictable activities. They should be easier, faster, and cheaper. And some activities which should be decreasing. Stop in which you are not good at. Bring in new team members who are great collaborators. Reputation will keep on automatically growing and making up your future and not your past. So I've repeated this. Then the worst people oppose 10x as they have to work harder. 10x is exciting. Reinvent your thinking, your systems, focus, ideas, total revamp, change your understanding and how you've done before. And the other couple of pointers, because the book was very exhaustive, so I thought of just first telling. In fact, I would essentially tell that I'm not getting any commissions for the book, but please get hold of a copy and read it. For all business activities, it makes a lot of sense. Because there are a lot of work on the website, there are a lot of worksheets he gives, and he selflessly gives a lot of information. I can share that, in the group afterwards. Uh, the new big capabilities where the relationships pop out, and team technology marketplace. We operate on a quarterly this thing. Health and relationship repairs, grow or go. I said, one more thing. Although there is always a shift, there is one thing that does not change, and that is your value system. Okay, he said, and the kind of the clients remain the same. The status entrepreneurs versus growth entrepreneurs we talk. How did you transform yourself after you failed? That is the main question we should be having. That after we failed, how did we transform ourselves? The value systems remain unchanged, and not to get trapped in the status and never grow. It's or not vary of not vary, but be aware of. Uh, I will like to leave it to not a Q&A as such, but probably some experience sharing. Um, if I shared that, I got an opportunity to attend a couple of his complimentary sessions at various seminars. I met him. I purchased a few of his books also, and it was an inspiring journey about 20 years ago. So somewhere it has helped me, and that is why I was passionate that since we talked of the 10x growth in our so many other programs earlier also. So I thought of doing this book reading on that. Over to you, Hiren Bhai, and then if there's any Q&As we can do.
Sure. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining in again. I think while we were started, I think quite a few more people have joined in. And thank you, Rajesh bhai, for a brief summary of the book. 10x is easier than 2x. Some of the points I found really were very interesting, and I think we'll talk more about it and hear more from people also. Before we get on, two things. So one is you can post your questions in the Q&A section. If any questions that people may have. Second thing we will do is given the format that Rajesh bhai has today proposed is that we would allow individual sharing, or even if you have a direct question, you can kind of just say that you want to ask the question, and we'll open the line for that person. So before we move ahead, I would just like to. There's a small announcement from KCF side. We this next weekend we have an extremely interesting program, which is in continuation of our whole 10x theme and the 10x summit that we had, which I'm sure many of you all have attended and gained a lot. So this is a workshop. The workshop is Growth Acceleration and Innovation Workshop, or the GAIN workshop as we call it. And the outcome expected, or the outcome which is aimed at or intended over here, is to develop an accelerated growth plan in 2 days. This is a 2-day workshop, which will be held on 17th and 18th of August in Matunga with Victor Manikam. More details will be shared on the email. I can say that we had this workshop last year, and it was a fantastic learning experience. It's a smaller group. It's not like, it's in fact less than 30. 30 is the outer limit. We will be probably even lesser than that. So the learning, sharing, quality time with the faculty and the mentors and all will be fantastic. So it's something that, and it in fact includes many things like a test, which is a personal assessment, business assessment. So a lot of things go into it, and the idea is that how do we overcome many um, hurdles or many barriers, and come out with a clear plan which is implementable, and can break many barriers and help us in the whole acceleration process. So that's what is the aim of KCF. Uh, okay, thank you. With that, I'll get on to the Q&A chat box. Okay, so first question we have is from Bhavya Gogri. Author didn't mention about a backup plan or buffer income. So if we fail on a 10x journey, at least we have a passive income to take care. Your views?
Yeah. See, whenever we go on, I mean, it's just my personal view, but we all are, as I said, each one has their own ideas to share. So here, what I understand is that in this journey of 10x, see, we all are into, from the business point of view, no risks, no rewards, no guts, no glory. But the backup plan, what we need to do in this journey. So what I looked at is that usually when people start off, supposing I'm talking at a younger age, in my 20s when I started off, you just throw the things to the winds that jo hoga dekhenge, like we'll get going, and then we get going into that. But over a period of time, plan A is there always, but plan B also should be there. So I'll get a little personal. I mean, because I'm just sharing how I have experienced that journey. So it may become a little personal, but I thought, with 33, 34 years behind me, I mean, even I should share that, Mukesh Bhai has been a big mentor to me because I know him for the past 33 years. He's the one who's guided me in a lot of my ventures. I qualified as a chartered accountant, but he inspired me to surrender my certificate of practice and I went into stockbroking. So that was one journey, okay. But when I did that, and I knew that brokerages were coming lower, there were too much of volatility happening because of the day trading happening, and I was more on the fundamental side of it, buy and hold kind of a thing. We added to that, it's like I did many things, but as my backup plan, I never left the field of financial services. So this is your unique ability. If I'm good in one field, but what I did is, along with the stockbroking, I added the opposite part was risk management, which is insurance. So it's a complementary supplementary. The risk of living too long, you require money at the end. The risk of dying too soon, you require a good insurance. The risk of falling sick and being in the hospital, today the need has come that you need to have a proper health insurance. The risk of getting a serious illness and still having money to live, but not when, because maybe a term insurance, the company will say you die, then we'll give you the money. But what happens if you've got a serious ailment and you're bedridden? So you need to have some kind of a critical illness. So like that, you add in your field and you build it up. So this was one thing. So you don't forget, and don't forget the basics, what is said in the books. Don't forget what got you there. So if you have grown for, let us say, forget the first 10x. When I said from your first 1 lakh, you earn 10 lakhs. Look back and say, how did you earn? Now the next 10 times that you're going to grow, you have your reserves, you're going ahead with the things, but your basic home fires to keep burning, that income is being generated. You have created probably a self-managing company. Today, in my personal case, if I look at it, I had only two pillars. One was risk management, one was investment management. And then you keep it simple. I don't have a team of 10, 20, 30, we are just two, three. So I'll focus only in the investment side via the mutual fund route. There may be many other alternatives which may be equally good, better, whatever, but I'll stick to my knitting. So if a client comes to me and says, see, look, I want kind of a family office kind of a setup, I'll say, no problem. I will be like your MBBS financial family doctor. I'm not an MD. That's my limitation. But I can coordinate with the chartered accountant. I can coordinate with the estate planner. So somebody will say at a later stage, what is succession planning? So that time I may just touch on a topic to the client that estate planning is very important. Uh, you do it more with your financial advisor, work that out, delegate it to somebody who's good at it, who's done over 1,000 such estate planning measures at a certain cost. It should be cost effective. And then you supply the material, the data. Okay. Now, where we get into the focus is that where I evolved, and I told you two pillars, investment and risk management. But in the last 6 months, in my plan to grow further 10x, I've added two more pillars. Let me share one pillar. One pillar is that in the last 33 years, I'm 57. My average age of the clients is 59. So, many a times the trust has been built up, and every 2, 3 years, they have a real estate transaction to be done. I'm not a real estate person. However, I need to evolve, and they trust me for so many years. So someone will say, I want to upgrade the house. My child is going abroad, or I have the money to buy something, or any other part of India, got a job. I can live next to my child or near my child rather than, causing any other encumbrances. So at that point of time, on the safer side, I registered myself with the RERA as compliance. And you have many clients who are your real estate owners doing very well, brokers, and then you have some sort of a professional tie-up where you tell the client, okay, I will be there with you, and the client likes you to do that. The other part is that the other pillar would be, say, I like academics, I like to teach. Suddenly, I found most of my clients, they are now second generation, their children, and they are keen about having a financial knowledge. So I started something called a financial literacy academy. So maybe I can evolve and teach on that. Then we realized that men smart, women smarter, ladies are getting more in the field of business. They are in need. And in those days, earlier, it was the role of the a man who was the breadwinner. So his role was to manage finances. The wife would say that, we were taught when we were small that, he will work and we have to, and we also are feeling the need. So you might create different levels, medium level, advanced level. Somebody wants to get into a particular a business, MSME, or want to. So so what I look at it is that this is how we evolve. And now sitting over here, I feel that 10x is happening. I'm telling you from my side of the story. As a backup, what we do, business has its own risks, but you do your proper analysis, risk management kind of a thing, and then it could happen. That was my two bits on how I would look at it.
Sure. Thank you, Rajesh bhai. We have so just to repeat to everyone, you can please post your questions, and in case you have a comment to make, you want to talk about something, you may raise your hands. We'll just finish the question queue first, and then we'll see who all have, based on anyone who's raised their hands, we will open those audio lines. Um Rajiv, my next question is on on the business side. So there's a established company who believes in 10x and has done so, but at the retirement age, while passing the baton to experienced leadership team on a transformational journey, finds it difficult to see the change of different thought process. How should one go about it?
Uh, let's take my case. Okay. Uh, at certain point of time, the father in me always said that my son should take over. I suggested him, so whatever I have done, he would do. So he passed his CA entrance, whatever. But his passion evolved into filmmaking. So suddenly there was a kind of a vacuum. My clients would say, okay, you're a one-man show kind of, and you have a team. How are you going to, what is your succession plan? If I'm 57 and a 27-year-old boy professional who's got a job and comes to me for financial planning, will I be with him for the next 27 years? It will not happen. Then you have your team. Now, what it matters is when I told of go or grow, over a period of 30, 35 years, I must have had more than 100, 200 team members who came, went, like that. Eventually, as you say, it's a certain, how to say, the law of, attraction, that, you start hoping that you get somebody who wants to make a career, who's aligned with your thoughts. Then slowly it starts happening. So one or two members may come in, and then they are professionals. You encourage them on what they like to do. Now, the youngsters may have a different mindset. Now, if I had a mindset of, let us say, risk management, somebody else may have a mindset that, no, I would like to ultimately get into academics, which I liked it. And I'll give the free hand to that person to do it. Okay, why don't you get going into the academics wing of our area? The eventual handhold, and you have to let go. In fact, one thing is very clear: as long as your principles are aligned, mistakes can happen, things can be different, but you have to really sincerely let go. And the youngsters sometimes are smarter. They have their own evolution. Now, if I am at my age, I talk to a client, my level, my understanding is quite different. But if I have a teammate who is supposing 30 years younger than me, but aligned with the today's Gen Z, they talk, they interact, what are their priorities, and that gets aligned, then the what you call uh, continuity tends to happen, and you have to be very, very clear about it. We are little scared of letting go of equity. You look at it that way. If I let go, I mean, another question was asked, but supposing if I have 400 clients, once upon a time, I had 3,000 clients in the in the 1990s. Okay, it was 4, 5 offices everywhere and all. But today, less is more. This is my style. I mean, a person can do strategically a lot. For me, I still believe a one-to-one. I understand Zoom is good, it is good, but my first meeting has to be personal. The touch, it cannot, it's a discovery process. So when we do that, uh, the current scenario, if I have 400 clients and I will say, look, my 20 clients give me 80% of the income. Okay, just be with me on this. So I say, I'll look after these 20 families. Suddenly, I will evolve because I should know the kundali, the thoroughness. It can happen personally that you become, the story is that sometimes there are challenges in that family. You are their trusted advisor. You are available to them. If in a book, if a client calls up my office and they say that I want to meet, and in this category, they'll say, okay, we can fix up the appointment next month. But in those top 20, if they phone and they call me, I'll say, can we meet tomorrow? So I have my agenda book lined up that a certain slot, say 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. is my time, which I will give my allocation. Other timings, they are free to mark in the calendar and all. So the client who needs me, who is on my A category, feels I'm available to him or her within 24, 48 hours. Other clients is process driven. However, you have to look at, you have to take a decision that which client gives you that higher income, and at the same time you have trained your team. Someone wants to say start with a small investment. It is process driven. This is what has been advised, and once a year we may meet, we may have an interaction with that client, but some other client might want once a month. So this is how I have delegated, I have done, and the succession planning starts happening. It doesn't happen overnight. It is something that you have to start, even if you are 20 years before, you have to plan that this is how it will go on. I mean, it's sort of work, but it's a big decision you have to do. You have to take a call that maybe a time will come where if I remain, I'll let go of say 10, 20, 30, 40% of my equity. If I become totally passive, the equity may change. I may retain 40% and I may give 60, but you need to have a courage for that. I mean, that let go may not be there. But I found that by letting go of a certain percentage, your income multiplies a lot. So you actually end up earning a lot. And money is not everything, but definitely commercially speaking, you take your own call in that.
Thank you, Rajesh bhai. Coincidentally, the person who has asked this question, Mr. Dhiresh Gosalia, he has also raised this question. So if we can unmute his line, Vivek, if we can unmute his line. Dhiresh bhai, if you have anything, any more comment or question or point, do you want to say something?
Yeah, so Rajesh bhai, first of all, thank you so much. I've been listening to your this book reviews before also I'd heard, and it's very, very impressive and very value creating. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Second, this was of a matured business, what I was talking to you about. And in the matured business, what happens is uh, when you are kind of retiring, you have done 10x all your life. And when you're retiring, uh, then you want to pass it on to an experienced your baton to an experienced team of leaders. So I'm talking of a business size. Today we are at about 1,500 crore top line, that kind of business, and then passing it on to naturally you want to pass it on to an experienced one, and it's professional. I'm not talking about the hair, like it's not the second generation, third generation. I never cared about that because I also go with your philosophy. Okay, the person uh, who is capable should take that. It cannot be if the guy is interested in making films and you push him, can nahi, kuch bhi karo, business mein aa jao. So I'm not of that nature. But the professional team, when you're bringing naturally at this level, you're bringing experienced people. Maybe some of them would be from multinational culture. Multinational culture has 2x kind of growth uh, appreciation. They don't understand 10x. So then, I mean, in this kind of culture shift, how do you do? So that was my question.
Okay, see here in the book, at least what Dan Sullivan speaks of is now this is a little bit of a different viewpoint that he has. He strongly believes the people who have that 10x growth mindset will never retire. This is what is his viewpoint. Because he says he categorizes it as one community in the US, because it's US related, is the moment at 60, 62, they are working for corporates, getting a big salary. They get into retirement into some gated community with golf, this, that, and all. It doesn't make that person comfortable who has that growth, 10x growth mindset. And the moment he stops, he gets pushed by the community of 10x growth people into the status, status versus growth. So here, as I said, Dinesh, see your own experience, your own, and these challenges which are there probably would require some kind of a one-to-one consultation with someone like Dan Sullivan, or I'm just telling you because I've seen people doing that, or finding some person to align with your views, values, and have an interaction. If I have somebody in mind or something, I will always try to um, give a suggestion if I can. But definitely, you have a valid point in that, and maybe in that introspection and the challenges which are there, there can be people who can give you some sort of the viewpoints and you take the decision. It's like you would be the what you call pilot, they would be the navigator. Like I would tell my clients that I'm a navigator. I will tell you A, B, C, D, you take a call. So that makes a bit more simpler. Once the crystallization happens, I'll bear this in mind, and if at all I can find somebody, I can try and reach out, and then you can have a independent kind of a conversation.
Thank you, Rajesh. I'll touch back to you shortly later on. Thank you so much.
Dinesh bhai, if I can just add one small thing, I had come across, and I don't remember the exact anecdote at this point in time, but this was about the mindset that the team should have, and or the person should have, and when this I have heard about more than like almost 15 years ago, that when Google used to hire, and one of the important questions above a certain level, manager or leader level or vice president level, they would ask a question that, where do you see yourself 5 years down the line? And, if the person ambition of being 5 years down the line was, anything less than 30 to 50 to 100x, they would not hire that person. Okay, if he says I want to go from, manager to vice president, or if I want to grow from say 100,000 salary to say whatever $1 million, they wouldn't hire that person unless that person says that I want to become the CEO of the company. It just reflects a certain growth mindset, 10x mindset, you may call it, or different way. This is not the exact anecdote, but it's just a way to test the fire in that person's belly above a certain level. That are they, is that there? And maybe that's something you might want to get maybe some external person to actually go through an exercise like this. Okay. With that, we'll move to the next question. Before I move, Rajesh bhai, there is a question, a comment actually, or a request. Please share Rajesh bhai's mobile number. So if
Yeah,
you are
sure.
okay,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
So okay, Vivek, maybe you can just put Rajesh bhai's number on the chat box so that everyone can.
Shall I type in myself?
Yeah, sure, that will be great.
Yeah, I've done that.
Great. Okay, we'll move to the next question. It's from Baburao Khose. I Forgive me for the pronunciation. Sir, if we work for 80% new customers and only 20% working on existing customers, then by giving less time for existing customers, is there a danger of losing existing customers?
Okay. This is I too had that same challenge before, and I used to be have I talk to myself as a micromanager. You don't want to let go of all the clients, but at a certain point of time, as you change, there may be a time where you have to evolve. Like say, for example, earlier I would do everything. A client would ask me to do operations. They all trust me for the things. They'll send an email. Now, once I have a deputy, and I will say, okay, this part so and so will look after. Even then, the client is a little uncomfortable. Again, will send an email. Again, I'll reply saying that so and so will look after. Because I have the confidence and the capability. I'm always there in case of any crisis. Now, the risk of losing that person, see, you have to explain to those 80% customers that when we have to grow, it may not be possible for me to do all the things that I used to do. See, when I started off as a one-man show, I'll be my own peon, I'll be my own accountant, I'll be my own operation person, I'll be my own salesperson. At some point of time, you have to take a call what you're good at. So the risk of losing, but meanwhile, very important, see that you create your own backup team. So if the team is created, in fact, I have a position today that some clients would prefer to deal with my team rather than me. That is the loyalty they have created in their own way. There has to be some, it's a professional level, trust level. Sometimes people have a feeling, oh, no, my person will learn the thing and leave me and go. So you have to create an environment and a situation wherein why they should leave you. What is the reason they want to leave you? Is it because of money? Is it because of environment? So we had one junior, I was told. So one of my person spoke to her saying that, see, this is one of the, this I was not what you call hearing this, but it was told to me that in that conversation that this is one of the best places to work. This is your first 2 years of your life. We may scold you, we may tell you to do this, that, but at the end of the day, my experience over here for the last 5, 6 years, this is the best place. I would never like to leave. So that creates a kind of a culture. Now, that is a call you need to take. You have to spend a lot of time with your team. See, for me, Monday is a self-organizing day. I don't have much appointments done. It's only with my team. Any questions answered, any things that need to be prepared for, what we are going to do for the full week ahead. That's how we do. Earlier, my self-organizing day would be on a Saturday, but then some clients would like, they get a weekend free. They want that particular time to interact with and all that. So you have to adjust that. So your focus days and your uh, focus days, core days, and self-organizing days, and free days. That kind of a thing is to be evolved.
Thank you, Rajesh bhai, and I hope the query has been answered. In fact, I think it has been well answered. Next question is from Prakash Jethwani. I have a wealth management company. We deal in mutual fund, PMS, insurance broking. How can I make distribution model like franchise model?
Yeah. See, again, here there are two schools of thoughts. Okay, since I'm into this field, and maybe at some point of time in the near future, for one of the KCF forums, we'll have a meet over a cup of tea or a coffee. See, in the stock market, there are two companies I used to look at. One was Colgate and one was ITC. Okay, both are superb great in their own aspects, but in a different way. Colgate made only Colgate. 80% of his money came only from Colgate, the toothpaste. Okay, there's Palmolive and all that is there, no doubt. ITC, it started as an imperial tobacco company. Cigarette smoking is injurious to health, but those who want to smoke, will not bother. So over a period of time, how they evolved, theirs was the S curve. What they did, they knew that the writing is on the wall. They started getting into hospitality, the welcome group hotels. They started getting into agro, that sundrop oil and all, into that atta, the Annapurna atta, whichever the brand they have. Then they went into paper, classmate stationery. They went into the Will's lifestyle stores. They went into, so many things they've gone into that now 50% income of cigarettes, it's less. I mean, rather the major income is coming from elsewhere. So when Prakash bhai, if you say that, as a wealth management company and you deal in all these things, uh, as a franchise model, look at some of the existing people who've already done and achieved this status. There are some of them are even quoted and listed companies today. So probably when you have that interaction, again, there is a little bit of a coach mentality. There are professionals who guide. Maybe you link up, talk to them, and see how you have your way to do. Like, say, for example, each one has their own philosophy. Okay, so why I gave that Colgate ITC example is that I started off thinking that I'll look at it in this way, but I'm more comfortable in my own space, and so that's why I said it's your own self how you want to go about it and do it. But definitely the scope is there. The opportunities are tremendous. Statistics show, somewhere down the line I read that in the US, 35% of the retirement money is managed by the mutual funds in the retirement schemes in the US. In India, it is only 0.5. So look at the opportunities that are there. And at the same time, we say India is average population is young, but look at 20 years from now, there'll be a lot of seniors and there's a lot of demand going to be there. So the opportunities, what you are in the field is tremendous. So you need to have your own setup and look at it from that perspective.
So Prakash bhai has added NJ and Prudent is there. So they are amongst the distributors, large distributors, I guess, who have some of them, someone has gone into AMC, someone has gone into you're on mute, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I put it on mute.
Yeah, yeah.
But look at their stories, NJ stories and all. 20, 30 years back, they were just like you and me. I mean, what I'm saying is that, two associates and from Gujarat just started off very humble, very simple, and they had that idea and it clicked, and, a right place, right time, and technology wise and all. And they did a very good sort of it.
Sure. Thank you. Okay. Anyone has? Do we have any raised hands from Vivek? Do we have any raised hands?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. So yeah. Okay. No problem. Rajesh bhai, that was the last question. But I think what I would request, and maybe the index of content page that you had, no, on the, if you can just quickly once reopen that, so that, because it had a lot of good leading points on that, that could just help, refresh the the thing. And I think this is a book Rajesh bhai is strongly recommending to everyone to read. So we can all, I think we should all place an order for that. Uh,
See, what I would also suggest now, I'll tell you how I did. I
hmm,
have the Audible app. So I have bought this book in the audio format.
hmm,
I have this book right now with me, in this thing, and I have a habit of, what you call writing, underlining. I mean, it's a very bad. I mean, I spoil it by my notes and all. But
hmm,
when you look at it, when you read it, even to prepare, let me share with you. This book was
hmm.
so good that I was very scared to do the book review. It's difficult. Half an eye is not enough. So I took a call. Just the introduction, I almost read it, but I wanted to give you the impactfulness of the thing, the whole trend. So if all of us we read it, it should be more, book review should be more like a workshop of sorts. It's a homework. See, to prepare for this book review of half an hour, it took me about 4-5 hours, or 8 hours. I have to read it. So
Yeah,
at the end, I learned more, but maybe I may not be in a position to express myself. So I tried something new. So I thought, like, first I will be more like a collaborative, because one side, say, Dinesh Bhai Gosalia spoke with such a, what you call, he can be your own mentor to so many other people. At the same time, what I appreciate about a very, very learned person is that person is always a student throughout his life. He also is in search of some, we need to have a mentor. A mentor also needs a mentor. Let me put it that way.
sure, sure, sure.
So what I would
So
say, yeah.
so Rajesh bhai, while we are doing this, there are 2 points that have come up. One is
uh,
Prakash Jethwani has one follow-up point, which is any mentor can guide me
I will connect with him,
on,
like
yeah,
my number is shared. So maybe
yeah,
if I have one or two people whom I have come across,
yeah,
and
sure,
he can interact with, and then he can take a call. That
yeah,
gentleman is, I think, is based in New York, but he comes to India. He's a Gujarati gentleman and stays in
sure,
Bombay. So that's why it may be very, very convenient to connect with and all.
sure.
Okay.
And he has also made a point. This book actor is Grant Cardone. I am not able to understand that. If you can just elaborate a little bit. Um, I can't really understand. In
Uh,
the meantime, we can. In the meantime, um, Dharmesh bhai. Okay, the
no, no,
author. Sorry.
author.
Okay, he's
No,
saying the
no,
author is
no.
author
Author
is
is Dan Sullivan and
Dan
Dr.
Sullivan.
Benjamin Hardy. But there are some books, 10x, of some different authors also online.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. There are some good books. 10x is everything, and
Yeah.
many such books are there.
Dan Sullivan is okay, and Benjamin Hardy is. See, Dan Sullivan had his own student in Benjamin Hardy, and he allocated. In fact, writing a book also, Dan Sullivan has outsourced it. He says there's a
Interesting.
write the book. So imagine the type of the growth and the type of the speed of which the books have come out. Yeah.
Hmm. So we have Mr. Dharmesh Patel has a question. So if we
Yeah.
can unmute if we can unmute his line, we can, just have him ask a question. Vivek?
Yeah. Can you bit explain in detail what can happen, 10x, something like that?
Okay. What I understood from the question is,
I'm into clothing actually. So what is the possibility that anticipation of 10x? I mean, just to think.
Okay.
Okay.
First and foremost, I come also from a family of clothing. My father had a small ready-made shop in Goa. It was one of the first shops that time. But their philosophy was that, we are happy with what we have. But again, a very simple-minded person, this, that, and all.
Barabar.
Now, the things have changed. Today, if you ask me from the investment point of view, clothing has gone into a huge jump. But there may be a possibility, how come I'm not doing that well as somebody else is doing? Because it has taken it has leapfrogged into technology. See, today you talk of brands. Today you talk of such names like, even if Birla, that, Aditya Birla Clothing and Pantaloon, and how Van Heusen and Alan Solly and all the things. Now, it depends on what is your structure, how you want to go about it. Do you want to go about it in that manner, in the franchisee module, or you want to grow 10x? Because the demand is there. There will be still personal, like I'll put it this way. Okay, at the cost of, not to impress you, but to impress upon you. This shirt which I'm wearing, it is a made to measure by, say, Raymond's. It has my initials. I like a simple white shirt. But at the same time, you look at the costing. I might look at it sometimes, they have a particular sale 50% off. I mean, I might find some things a little costly, sometimes not so costly. You have your own this thing. At the same time, some people prefer ready-made. So what I'm trying to tell you, the time has come. Ek zamane mein people used to have tailored clothes. Then that went out. Now again, it's certain thing is again coming in. It's a own cliche, own style, own way. So it's a very vast thing. You are in this field, so you will know better. But again, probably if you read the book, you will find, as the book says, you will find yourself the right appropriate solution. If you think about it, even if you feel that, is this my field? Can I modify it into something different? Can my company be not a clothing company, but it can have some technology, something where, I can, like, if you talk of clothing company, there's another brand name, Ramraj, in South. They had a shop in Coimbatore, but today they do online, they do so many things, and they're only into dhoti and white material, but linen and all. But I've seen people who 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 go for it. So I'm just giving you a little bit of a different kind of a thing. I may not be thorough on this clothing area, but the growth that you need to look at, you need to introspect and see. There is 10x possibilities everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Darvish bhai, if I can just add a little bit, I basically see the point being that a normal growth is like just doubling is a very normal growth, but normal growth many times leads to stagnation in many ways. And if there are any adversities and all of that, actually you may go reverse. The whole concept or idea is here that if you think, how do I grow 10x, then you will think of something new, different, bigger, new capabilities as a person, as organization, as a team, whatever, and new direction. That actually is what kind of changes many things around, and that actually is a better and easier thing to do than to just aim for 2x. I think that's the larger point that I at least got.
Yep.
And,
Thank you.
if I may add one more point, Dharmesh bhai, what the author is saying, you want to grow 2 times and you want to grow 10 times. Does it mean that growing 10 times you have to work 10 times more? The answer is no.
No.
Now, logically, it is better to grow 10 times with a little bit more effort than 2 times. Little bit different style. You do your brainstorming. Can I do something different? What is it? What are we here for? Yes, we are here to make money. We may have our own set of ethics, standards is all one thing, but this is how we want to grow. Opportunities are there. It should not be somebody else grows and we remain, just, oh, we should have done that and all. No. So that's why the purpose of why we are all here, we are here to deliberate. That's why this, more than the book review was, I wanted to make it more, and it is happening like that, more like a views, because each one of us is a 10x material or a 10x bomb by themselves individually. And once we exchange the views, 10 into 10 is not 100, it can be 1,000-fold. That's why these conferences now, again, I think what you mentioned about that new Mr.
The workshop, the GAIN
workshop
workshop.
coming up and all. I have done his one-to-one program, and it benefited me a lot. It was almost 1 month, like, who am I, to discover who you are. And again, the dots get connected again. See, you do this program, you do 2 other programs, you decide what to take from that. That is up to you. Now, Dan Sullivan, I had almost made up my mind to do this program, but 20 years back, every 3 months going to USA, the ticket going, coming, and I had different urgencies and responsibilities. I could not just leave. I was passionate to do it, but then I did not do that. So that is how I looked at it. But today, if you feel that, no, this program seems to be good, because now after COVID, it is also online. Now, I don't know how they are managing online, and their fees are in dollars. So I don't know now what is the latest fees range and all, but $10,000 20 years back was also something high. Today also, with the power of 83 and all, whatever it is high. But probably when you're looking at such a growth, some people have found it worthwhile. And some of the people whom I met, my mentor and all that, they've all done this program. I'm not saying for one, because I fell in that financial services and insurance industry. So there, the stalwarts in that industry, many of them were students of this program. It's not only for insurance, it's for all. So you Google it and check it out, see what it is.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dharmesh bhai. And that earlier question by Prakash bhai, I think it has been answered in the chat box itself. And thank you, Sanjay bhai Shah. So there's another book called the 10x Rule, which is by Grant Cardone, Cardone, and I think that's what Prakash bhai was earlier referring to. Which is a different book from the one we are discussing today. But yeah, as Rajesh bhai said, there are quite a few books on 10x. So I think the idea, as he said, is to go through various things, and even one good idea from somewhere can change and transform many things. So yeah, any else? I guess probably that is the last comment or question. With that, I'll leave it to Rajesh bhai to give any closing comments before we end today's very interesting discussion.
Yeah, the closing comment is that in my way, I've reviewed over here and elsewhere also quite a few books. But this review, I tried to do a little differently. I said, like, I will not give you a summary of the whole book. So at times you must have found me a little lost for things. Like, I was trying to, because I got too much of notes, too much of observations. So then I reduced it. So in the closing comment, I would say that we are in the right time, we are in the right place, we are in the right country. You look at the progress, how things are. So I think this time we are all firing on all cylinders. My closing comment will be that cautious optimism is the best. Like, there are 2 ways of looking at it. One, oh, why this has happened, if you're pessimistic about it. I'll always say that look for the positive. Even if things have not gone our way, very often it happens, no? Somebody sent me a clip, a maid is coming in, they ask for, an old couple ask for a cup of water, and the maid drops the glass, it breaks. And she says, I'm very sorry. So the gentleman says, it's okay. I am also a human being. I also could have sort of thrown it down and it was broken. And his wife asks the maid, I hope you're not hurt. And in the side comment afterwards, he's a trainer, and he says, what would have happened if I had scolded? What has happened has happened. I would have got a blood pressure. I would have got stressed out. My maid might have left. All things. So sometimes when I say the closing comment would be that whatever we are the circumstances, we may be facing a lot of challenges. The industry is facing challenge. See, worst case situation, if tomorrow you feel nahi, ye theek nahi ho raha hai, you change the industry. I mean, it's a big clarion call. In my personal case, I qualified as a chartered accountant, but within 1 month, I surrendered the certificate of practice. It was very difficult for others to accept it, especially from the family side and all, like, kya, he became a broker kind of a thing, buying, selling and all that. But the dots got connected and I kept on studying. I kept on. See, when I went into insurance, the mecca of insurance is the $1 million round table. It was at our cost. So imagine for the last from 2004 till the pandemic, every year I used to visit at my cost, attend the place, the annual meeting where top 1% from 70 countries would come. So imagine the knowledge that you get. Some of the authors, some of the books I've collected, I've met the authors. The world is flat. You talk to them. You get a humane interaction with them. And then it evolves. Then the dots get connected. So the closing comment, I will say that, we should constantly strive to achieve excellence. I think Hirenbhai mentioned that good to great, and also I think those are the things, the book which you had read. So those are the things that we should evolve and pass it on. See, today, if I have learned something, it's that today the greatest happiness I got in this one of the wonderful book review sessions was, it's not actually a book review, it was more of just expressing yourself and learning from the others.
Thank you, Rajesh bhai. Prakash bhai has commented, thank you everyone for good book review. Thanks to Rajesh Chheda ji and moderator. Thank you, Prakash bhai. So we have quite a few thank yous now, and I would like to, on behalf of KCF, thank Rajesh bhai for such a wonderful and continuous effort and stream of knowledge that he's been sharing with all of us. And thank you so much for all the effort. I can assure you that it's not easy to do a book review. It's you have to literally, take, live the book to be able to share so nicely. Would also like to thank Vivek and Jay Thakkar from Boomerang for seamlessly organizing the backend technology so that the experience on today's book review has been very seamless. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining on a Sunday morning, which really shows that really the hunger to grow 10x is very strong. We've had very, very good number, and so thank you so much everyone, and goodbye. See you for the next book review.